Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Friday the 4th of March 2022. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon I bring you the 5 news items that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1. Russian troops this morning bombed a nuclear power plant in Ukraine. And the country's president, Volodymyr Zelensky, said ongoing attacks could trigger a nuclear disaster and the evacuation of Europe. An administrative building about 150 metres from the reactor was hit after the facility came under shelling attack from Russian forces. There's no sign of elevated radiation levels at this point. That's really good news. And the power station is being shut down. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson called for an emergency United Nations Security Council meeting to discuss the bombing. Story number 2 is the market reaction to the news of the new nuclear threat. The news sent the market much lower, though it clawed back ground throughout the afternoon session to eventually finish 0.6% lower to 7,111 points. The fall today ended a 5-day winning streak for the S&P ASX 200. Among the large caps, Aristocrat Leisure and Goodman Group fell 2% and Rio Tinto, Westpac and ANZ were all down 1%. Woolworths Group rose 2% and Coles rose more than 1%. The gold stocks were the best performers, reflecting the flight to safety, while the technology stocks tumbled. All the news helped the Aussie dollar. It finished the week at a 4-month high of almost 73.5 US cents. Story number 3. Iron ore prices have rallied to a 6-month high, buoyed by reports of a possible easing of China's strict COVID-19 policy and signs of improved steel demand in the world's second largest economy. The price of a tonne of ore moved beyond $160 today, the highest since last July. Beijing exiting its zero-tolerance approach to COVID-19 could potentially end the stop-start nature of mainland economic activity that's been going on ever since the pandemic began. Story number 4, blood plasma giant CSL is poised to take control of Vifor Pharma after securing nearly 3/4 of the Swiss Target's shares at the end of the initial tender period. CSL has dropped an 80% minimum acceptance condition under the $16 billion offer and extended it for another 2 weeks until March 22 to allow Swiss index funds and arbitrage funds that were holding out to accept. Those guys had been holding out for a better deal, but since CSL has so much stock now, they'll be forced to cave in. CSL, which in December launched the offer for Vifor, a maker of treatments for iron deficiency conditions and kidney diseases that complements CSL's product range, says it's on track to meet all other conditions under the offer. And story number 5, carbon farmers and landholders are set for a potential windfall of almost $2.6 billion after a surprise Morrison government decision which will enable them to tap into surging market demand for Australian carbon credit units. The move, which the government hopes will help satisfy calls for more carbon credits vital to reaching the nation's 2050 net zero goal, means owners of land-based projects who agree to deliver about 188 million tonnes of abatement to the Commonwealth at an average price of $12 a tonne will be granted an option to sell to the open market instead. What that means, many farmers and landowners now have a new income stream. That's it for the afternoon report for Friday, the 4th of March 2022. Don't forget to hit follow on the podcast and find Fear and Greed on LinkedIn, Twitter and Facebook. Join Michael Thompson and I tomorrow morning for the Saturday Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.